Thank you. Thank you. Też mam z wami siedzieć, czy nie? Bartek? Nie, to dobrze.
Right, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all. It's also a great honor to have an esteemed guest today, Oku Onuora, from Jamaica via Switzerland, his first ever appearance at the Ostro da Reggae Festival. The man that needs no further introduction. However, I will try to make a short introduction. The idea is, of course, to have our meeting in English, and I'll try to provide some short Polish translations for us all to be on the same page. There will be time also for you to ask questions and to get more involved in the poetry of Oku Onuora. A brilliant writer, a writer who has seen the birth of modern Jamaican literature, and in fact the writer who has been instrumental to the change of Jamaican and Caribbean literature. A writer, and I'm showing you here some props, a writer who is, I think, recognized, and here's a book that you may remember.
Okay, Caribbean push, no, yeah.
Book that was published in 1984, and this was a book that includes a very diverse set of writers. You could say classic writers like Derek Walcott, but also Oku Onuora, and this was a book that was recommended for school students in Jamaica in 1984, like, curriculum. But also, his poem is included in a very prestigious Oxford Book of Caribbean Verse. So again, this is a recognition of a poet. But also, again, something modern from Jamaica, 2010, the Calabash Festival, a festival that is organized by Jamaican writers, by Colin Channer and Kwame Dawes, and also organized by the daughter of Perry Hensel, that you may remember because of the Harder They Come film. And again, a poem by Oku Onuora, a different poem than the ones that you may know from recordings is included here. And I know that Oku Onuora has graciously agreed to also perform two poems that will be that have been also translated into Polish. So we will have a premiere today.
Okay.
Oku Onuora to jest pisarz, poeta, muzyk, który zmienił współczesną literaturę jamańską, który zmienił też postrzeganie literatury karaibskiej, literatury, która tak naprawdę po II dopiero wojnie światowej się urodziła. Jego wiersze są znane z płyt, ale co jest istotne, znane są też z książek. Z książek, które w pewien sposób go wpisały już w życie literackie, w życie takie bardziej akademickie, do tego stopnia, że już 40 lat temu w szkołach jeden z wierszy był rekomendowany jako lista obowiązkowa, no, rekomendowany, może nie obowiązkowa, jako lista na liście rekomendowanych treści szkolnych, lektur właściwie. So again, thank you, sir, for being here. And I've got a set of questions that I hope will bring us closer to you, and you closer to us. And in the liner notes to your album, Pressure Drop, you are described as a graduate of the University of Adversity. And here we are at a reggae university, right? And how would you yourself now, after, well, 4 decades, right, since this album, how would you introduce yourself to the Polish audience?
First and foremost, greetings. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for your kind words. I will try to live up to that expectation. You describe me as a great writer. My writing is simple. How would I describe myself now, you ask? I'm not changed. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. I am the same as I was yesterday, I am the same today, and tomorrow I'll still be the same. A graduate from the University of Adversity. You know, I have no desire to graduate from academia or academic institution. You know, my classroom is life. That's where I am schooled, and that's where I continue to be schooled. I'm continually being schooled in, you know, the schoolroom of life. You know, everyday experiences is what I learn from.
Zapytałem Oku o to, jak w tej płycie z początku lat 80., Pressure Drop, jak się odnosi do tego, jak w tej płycie został przedstawiony, bo w tej płycie był przedstawiony jako student uniwersytetu i absolwent Uniwersytetu Przeciwności, University of Adversity. No i skoro to jest Uniwersytet Reggae i skoro to jest jego pierwsza wizyta w Ostródzie i ma możliwość przedstawienia się po 40 latach publiczności, jak się zapatruje na ten opis sprzed lat? I okazało się, że nie zmienił się, nawiązał do wiersza i do singla sprzed 3 lat, do utworu Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow. Nie zmieniłem się, nie zmieniam się, pozostaję taki sam. Nie zależy mi na akademickich czy takich formalnych formach wykształcenia, nie zależy mi na środowisku naukowym. Moim uniwersytetem jest szkoła życia. You were born as Orlando Wong.
As Orlando Wong, yes.
Which, of course, is something that tells us about the diversity of Jamaican society, because you are all also of Chinese ancestry.
Yes.
And
yes.
The Chinese people have played an important role in the cultural development of Jamaica. We can think about Leslie Kong and his work with Jimmy Cliff. We can think about the Chin family. Byron Lee and the Dragoners, and as a producer, as a musician. And I'm thinking, because the Chinese population, despite its importance, I don't think that has been as acknowledged as far as the cultural life of Jamaica is concerned. And I'm also thinking, in particular, how you've been influenced by your Chinese ancestry in your work, as an artist.
Not directly, but indirectly. I guess probably because of that genetic connection. But Jamaica is our motto is out of many, one people. Because my mother, she her father, her side of the family, they're Jews. Her name Myers, and Myers is a Jewish name, and then there's the African roots. And as you look upon me, it's a mix up, blend up, I mean, diverse. This is why I'm very comfortable to say that I am a universal being. I'm a Jamaican, yes, but beyond that, I'm a universal being. There's no border for me, basically, because I don't check you, which is HUE, color. I check you. I check the spirit. For me, that's the most important thing. But the Chinese have played an important role in our culture. So as the East Indians in Jamaica, we call them Coolie, which I was reminded a while back that it was a kind of derogatory to refer to them as schoolie. But in Jamaica, the Jews, because World War II, when you had Jews were fleeing from Germany, you had Jews that came to Jamaica. In St. Elizabeth, there are a lot of people who look like me. Them call them red people. Yeah, and so someone will say to me, do you have family from St. Elizabeth? Because the Jews who fled Nazi Germany, some ended up in Jamaica. So it's a melting pot. So I'm basically influenced by, that mixture,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, because this is still a very progressive, message, especially in the times of, division and sort of, compartmentalization of people, being divided into units rather than being united.
United,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
To jest pytanie o tak naprawdę spuściznę chińską, bo Oku Onuora urodził się jako Orlando Wong i w ten sposób wpisał się w historię chińskiej diaspory na Jamajce, która jest bardzo istotna też dla rozwoju reggae, bo chociażby, tak jak Oku powiedział, Byron Lee, producent muzyk, aranżer, czy Leslie Kong, który współpracował z Jimmy Cliffem, czy inne osoby na Jamajce, które się przyczyniły do rozwoju kultury, ale te osoby, tak jak osoby pochodzenia indyjskiego, które czasami są nazywane jako kuli, to jest takie słowo, niepoprawne słowo, które jest dość pejoratywne. Osoby pochodzenia chińskiego, czy osoby pochodzenia właśnie indyjskiego, z Indii azjatyckich, też się bardzo przyczyniły do rozwoju kultury tego kraju, jakby nie było głównie pochodzenia afrykańskiego. I w pewien sposób Oku kontynuuje też ich pracę, choć w żaden znaczny sposób w jego twórczości nie ma bezpośrednich związków z Chinami, czy nie ma związku z tradycjami chińskimi, czy tradycjami może szerzej azjatyckimi. Natomiast co jest ciekawe, on ma też pochodzenie żydowskie, to jest rodzina Majers, więc też do pewnego stopnia jest częścią tej diaspory, choć nie jest praktykujący. Natomiast to jest o tyle też istotne, że Jamajka ma swoje motto, prawda? Out of many, one people. Z wielości jeden naród, jedna społeczność. I Oku też się stara tak pisać i tak żyć, żeby nie było podziałów, tylko jedna taka dość uniwersalna jednostka ludzka. A jak kogoś z Was interesuje, to w St. Elizabeth jest duża populacja, duża jak na Jamajkę oczywiście, populacja żydowska, osoby przeniosły się tam uciekając przed oczywiście pogromami i sytuacją lat 30. i 40. związanych z nazizmem w Europie. I te osoby nazywane są red people na kolor skóry, który pigmentacja jest pomiędzy. You see, that was a bit of a performance also. Right, but you started as a writer, you started as a performer in the times when decolonization was an important movement. In the times where different themes were introduced, not just into reggae, but also into literature. When the language also changed, because you used Jamaican, you didn't use standard English as your tool of trade. When the form was changing, when reggae and dub as rhythmic elements were used by you, and I'm thinking really now about your craft. Right? What motivated you to use this set of tools? So local language, local meter, but also themes. That made you really very close to your own people, to the working class, to the people around you.
First and foremost, I mean, again, let me just say that I am bilingual. I speak a little English and Jamaican. Jamaican is my mother tongue, I speak Jamaican, so I just like to make that clear, I speak a little English, so you may wonder, you may be expecting, some clipped kind of English thing, but yeah, I feel more comfortable speaking Jamaican. All right, at first I wanted to become a journalist, an investigative journalist, to expose the evils of society, to talk about the wrongs that were being committed, the inequality in our society. But prior to that, I thought that my view was, revolution. I said, well, you know, in order, I grew up in a period when there was the Black Power movement was taking place in the US. And the whole Pan-African movement in Africa and the Caribbean and the US was taking place. My era was Che Guevara from Cuba, you know. And at first, my idea to change the system was via revolution. And I ended up in prison. I was arrested 1 week after my 19th birthday. And I eventually was convicted and sent to prison for armed robbery. I've never ever considered myself a criminal, you know, because what I did was to liberate funds from the system, you know, because I robbed like post office and banks and all of that, you know, and the thing was to liberate funds from the system to fund, you know, for the want of a better word, ghetto projects, to fund, you know, like we had an independent school which was separate from the government school and all of that, to provide food and assistance to people in the inner city. That's a more, I mean, like, acceptable term, inner city, you know. And so I ended up in prison. And while I was in prison, I escaped twice. Twice I escaped from custody. So twice in my life I ended up as most wanted man, because I'm very rebellious. I'm still rebellious. And while in prison, I decided I would not become a casualty. I would not become like others I saw. Youths heading for a futureless future. I had to continue my struggle. I had to continue the struggle against oppression, against injustice. And from a long time I realized the power of word and the music. I was not influenced to write by other poets as we know them. I was more influenced by reggae artists, people like Burning Spear, Bob Marley. You know, these were the people, these were the poets that influenced me. While in prison, in order to release that, the tension and the pressure and the anger, I had to find an outlet. So I started to write. And at the time I was doing a correspondence course, you know, because I wanted to sharpen my skills and to acquire the skills of a journalist. But then I would write poems and I'd read them to the brothers in L, that's prison, you know, and I'd read the poems to them. And they got accustomed to me, you know, writing poems and, you know, reciting them to them. The poems at that time, which these poems were published later on in a collection of poems called Echo. And the poems that I wrote while I was in prison weren't about the prison conditions. They were about the conditions outside of the prison that led people into prison, that caused people to end up in prison. So if one should read my first collection of poems, Echo, you wouldn't find a poem about the conditions in prison. My poem spoke about the conditions, the dread times outside of prison. You know, the poverty, unemployment, the police brutality, the inequality of the system that created these youths that ended up in prison. After a while I realized that, you know, the word is powerful. The word is powerful. That this form, poetry, you know, was a powerful means of communicating, of saying what I wanted to say. Hence, I continued to write. I never ever saw myself as becoming a published poet. as such, to be sitting here, you know, in a university, you know, discussing my work. I merely saw it as a way of reflecting and echoing the voices around me, the voices I was hearing. I mean, to give a voice, so to speak, to the voiceless. And as time, you know, went on, I became even more convinced that this was a medium that I could use to shout from the roof, to speak about the conditions, not just in Jamaica. Because when one believes that the conditions or the experiences that they have is an individual experience or a local experience, this is not so. This is a universal experience. You know, there are youths at risk all over the world. You know, probably in a different way in Poland. Youth suffer in a different way in Poland. You know, so poetry, my poetry came out of my desire to express myself. It was a pressure gauge to release that anger in me. You know, so I wouldn't explode. And also, I found that I was better able to express myself through poetry. And as I said before, poetry is a powerful medium of communication. Poetry appeals to the emotional senses. You know, so one is able to incite, to instigate, to rouse people with the word, because the word is powerful. We have seen what the word, you know, I mean, like what the spoken word can do. You know, we have seen, you know, I don't wish to bring back painful memories, you know, but we have seen, like, for example, Hitler in Germany. You know, I mean, he was a great orator, he was a great speaker, and he was able to whip up, you know, to stir up the German people by, you know, passionate delivery and all of that stuff, which led to, you know, Warsaw being razed to the ground, you know, and yeah. So we know the power of the word, you know, we know the power of the word. You know, we have people like Martin Luther King who was able to inspire people, you know, to talk about, you know, equality, to talk about, you know, to help to dismantle segregation in the form, because there's still segregation, you know, but the word, we have seen throughout history the power of the word. You know, hence that's my weapon. Because at the end of the day, the struggle, I'm not here to fight against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high and low places. You know, as I said before, I am not blinded by you, by color. When I say you, H-U-E, you know, shades, I'm not blinded by that. Because at the end of the day, it's what's within. You see a book, you know, you see the cover, but you don't see the cover. The content is what is important. So when I look at an individual and I see an individual, you know, yeah, they look a particular way. But the most important thing is their spirit. You know, and that's what I appeal to. The spirit.
What a performance, by the way. You know, now you've put me in a tight spot because, you know, obviously I can't match you. So I'll just do a quick translation, right? Okay. Posługuję się trochę językiem angielskim, ale moim językiem ojczystym, językiem, w którym jestem najbardziej sprawny, językiem rodzimym jest język jamański. I w tym języku jamańskim głównie piszę. Ale zanim zacząłem pisać wiersze, chciałem być reporterem, chciałem być dziennikarzem, który prowadzi dziennikarskie śledztwa, bo interesowała mnie tematyka społeczna i chciałem poprawić kondycję ludzką. W tym czasie, w latach 60. i 70. panafrykanizm oraz prawa osób czarnych, a także z jednej strony partia Czarnych Panter, a z drugiej strony w ogóle cały ruch czarnej siły, Black Power, były bardzo popularne, dochodziły i ja też się zaangażowałem w taką tematykę rewolucyjną. Moim idolem, moim bohaterem wówczas był działający na Kubie Che Guevara i jednocześnie przyświecała mi myśl rewolucyjna i myśl, żeby nie zostać ofiarą, czyli żeby mieć sprawczość, żeby być aktywnym. No i ta aktywność w wieku 19 lat zaprowadziła mnie do więzienia, bo miałem pomysł, żeby uwolnić środki, uwolnić pieniądze. Te pieniądze, to taki transfer pieniędzy z banku i poczty na rzecz lokalnej społeczności, żeby można było wesprzeć szkołę. I dwukrotnie Oku lądował do więzienia. Z tego więzienia też uciekał. Jednocześnie zaczął w więzieniu pisać, zaczął wykonywać wiersze w więzieniu, które nazywał Piekłem, Hell. I w tym więzieniu wierszami dzielił się ze swoimi współosadzonymi. Pierwszy tom wierszy nazywał się Echo i ten wiersz nie dotyczył tego, co się działo w więzieniu, tylko tego, co się działo poza więzieniem, czyli dotyczył między innymi duchowości, między innymi dotyczył świata i idei. To, co Oku od początku poruszało, to, że młodzież jest pozbawiona przyszłości, że czeka ich przyszłość bez przyszłości i to, że ludzie pozbawieni głosu potrzebują osoby, która by im ten głos dała albo byłaby wyrazicielem ich myśli, ich potrzeb i wiersze Oku stały się tymi takimi naczyniami, tymi wyrazicielami. Jeszcze w czasie odsiadki Oku rozpoczął kurs korespondencyjny, kurs pisarski. Wówczas jego takimi mentorami, jeśli chodzi o literaturę, nie byli tradycyjni pisarze, tylko artyści reggae, tak? Tacy jak Bob Marley czy Burning Spear. Ich teksty i ich przekaz o wiele bardziej trafią niż tradycyjna literatura. Te ucieczki i ten taki zamysł rewolucyjny, no to też do tej pory nie opuścił Oku, bo nadal się czuje rebeliantem. Nie miał pomysłów, żeby trafić chociażby do takiego audytorium, trafić na mniej lub bardziej formalny uniwersytet i być wykładowcą, czy słuchać, jak jego twórczość jest analizowana. Natomiast zawsze literatura i w ogóle sztuka pomagała jemu, żeby nie wybuchnął, czyli działała trochę jak taki zawór, że można było pewną presję, można było pewną potrzebę z siebie wyrazić. Więc nie chciał być publikowanym poetą, no ale został publikowanym poetą i został osobą, która jednak przeszła do historii już literatury karaibskiej. You've mentioned also art as a means of social change, as a sort of form of social, you could say, resistance, as a form of support, because when I'm thinking about your first single,
Reflection in Red. Yeah.
Reflection in Red, czyli refleksja, namysł w czerwieni, this is very much a poem that sums most of your topics, most of your revolutionary topics, most of your social themes.
Yes, because sometimes you can capsule, you can sum up, your beliefs in a few words. I believe if you are unable to put an idea into a few sentences, that it's not worth it. If you have to write a 10-page or a thesis to explain what you're about, then wow, yeah. Art, let me use this as an example. All over the world, when you have a regime, or a system or, you know, what have you, who are about oppressing the people. You know, it happened in Chile, it happened here in Poland. The first people they go after are the artists, the poets, the painters, you know, the musicians. Because, you know, art, as I said before, art appeals to the emotional senses. So, you know, they always go after the artists, because the artists are, the artists gauge the pulse and the heartbeat of the people. The artist reflects the condition. You know, without the artists, we wouldn't be able there wouldn't be no history. You know, so we use the painters, you know, I mean, like, so a painter would paint, you know, people of a particular era. And, you know, 100 years down the line, in order for you to, you know, you want to know what the people look like 100 years ago, you look at a painting of what the people, you know, how the people dress, where the people live. You would read a poem to hear how the people spoke, you know, and the poetry, the songs, the paintings were reflections and echo of the people, you know. So the poets, the artists are, you know, I mean, they feel the pulse of the people, you know. They hear the heartbeat of the people, and they are able to amplify that, to magnify that.
Zapytałem Oku o pierwszy single Reflection in Red, bo wydaje się, że to jest taki single, który, jeśli chodzi o jego twórczość społeczną, jeśli chodzi o taką jego wiarę w sztukę jako sposób zmiany właśnie społecznej, to jest taki wiersz, który ma wszystkie te tematy. Jest takim najbardziej skondensowanym zbiorem jego myśli. On zgodził się i mamy takie porównanie z Polską, ale też na przykład z Chile, z wszystkimi krajami, gdzie nagle pojawia się opresyjny bardzo system czy rząd, który jest bardzo konserwatywny, bo pierwszymi ofiarami takiej zmiany są artyści, ta branża kreatywna, no bo przecież oni przez sztukę dotykają emocji, dotykają zmysłów i mają wpływ na zachowania społeczne. Bez artystów, którzy są takimi kronikarzami, nie byłoby historii, to znaczy nie znalibyśmy historii. No, przykładowo malarze, portreciści w swoich obrazach pokazywali nam, jaka była moda, jakie były trendy, jak ludzie się ubierali, a poeci, pisarze pokazują nam, zapisując bądź wykonując utwory, pokazują nam, jak zmienia się język, albo jak w danym okresie historycznym język, prawda, funkcjonował. I dlatego tutaj mamy Reflection, dlatego pierwsza książka nazywa się Echo, dlatego wiele takich jest nawiązań do bycia głosem innych, do bycia w pewien sposób wyrazicielem takich zbiorowych właśnie emocji. And this is very much something that people that came before you, such as Kamau Brathwaite, or people who should be considered your students, also do. And I've prepared two quotes for you, right? Because one is from Kamau Brathwaite, a major Caribbean writer,
Yes.
who sadly is nowadays not as much recognized in his hometown, Barbados, as I think.
They say a prophet is not normally honored in his own land, you know.
The prophet, yes.
You know, yeah.
Przygotowałem dwa cytaty, które też mówią o tym, jak artyści, którzy debiutowali przed Oku, tacy jak Kamau Brathwaite, to jest barbadoski poeta. W Polsce to można go porównać może nie z Miłoszem, ale z Różewiczem. Nobla nie dostał, Walcott dostał Nobla, ale Kamau jest ten drugi w kolejce. Natomiast Kamau nie jest na swoim ojczystym Barbadosie tak uznawany, jak powinien. I też są artyści młodsi, którzy są w pewien sposób studentami, uczniami Oku. So the Kamau Brathwaite's quotation. In the beginning was the word, and until you can conceive of change, then the change will not come about. Na początku było słowo i jeśli się nie pomyśli o zmianie, jeśli się nie wyrazi słowami tej zmiany, to ta zmiana nigdy nie nastąpi. So that's the first quotation. And the second quotation is from Roger Robinson, who was born in Trinidad. He now lives in the UK, and he's a poet who in his interviews recognizes you directly, but also speaks about two ways of being a poet. One is an oral, performative, mode, and the other is the book.
Yeah.
And if we could, hear a clip, then perhaps you'll be able to relate, and comment on the work that is also being done with you by other people, Czy moglibyśmy prosić o ten klip audio? It's a recent clip from last month, from Britain, an interview with Roger Robinson. Czy moglibyśmy ten klip audio poprosić?
As I said at the beginning,
Yeah.
what is a dub poet and how does your performance relate to your poetry on the page?
Well, I would describe a dub poet as somebody who's being very aware of the music, but often thinks about the lives of the common man. I often tries to narrate the lives of working class people. And well, on the page, I probably wouldn't describe myself as a dub poet, but, because I deal with regular poetic craft like anybody else, but definitely in performance, I take aesthetics of reggae from Jamaica, calypso from Trinidad, and try to make it an event in terms of performance.
So are there two yous?
Yeah,
There are
most
two
definitely.
writers in you.
Well, most definitely. I mean, there is the writer who writes, and then there's the performer who tries to make it work live. And so I sometimes, the only thing I would say about dub poetry in the actual book version of it would be trying to write mostly about working class people, working class black people, and people that.
And people of color was, the ending of the clip. Do you feel that your own work, the work that you pioneered, is being continued by the next generation? I mean, do you personally feel, from your travels, from your readings, or do you? Because in other words, I'm thinking and asking you about your relation with the next generations. As writers, as creative people, as performers.
I say generation. I say generation link. That's a phrase I use regularly. Generation link. You're all familiar with generation gap, but I say generation link. There must be continuity, and I link very closely with younger poets in Jamaica. I encourage them to continue what they are doing. I make myself available to any of them to ask questions, and I try to be an example. Dub poetry, people see dub poetry as protest poetry. It's not merely protest poetry. It doesn't only deals with protest. It deals with the experience of life. The whole process of dubbing, so it's not just oral. For example, my poems are published. There are very few poets who are dub poets who actually, practicing dub poets. Because, when you say dub poetry, people would immediately think about Muta Baruch and Linton Kwesi Johnston and Jean Winter Breeze and Yassos and these people. But if you should do research, for example, Linton Muta Baruch sees dub poetry as limited. Although he is described as a dub poet. Linton when you look at Linton's work, it's described as a reggae poet. You know, initially, when Linton put out his first collection of poems, it was described as reggae poetry, right? And the thing about dub, you know, it's versatile because you can dub in, you can dub out, and this is what I do with my poetry. I infuse, I dub in the musical element. I further dub in that poem with that musical element into music, using musical accompaniment, you know, using a rhythm, using music, you know. It's kind of not accurate to say that, you know, dub poetry speaks only of you know, sufferation and oppression, you know. It reflects life. Because no matter where you're from, your life, your experience, what shapes you, what influences you is not one single factor in your life or in your environment or in your society. You know, you're affected by many different experiences. For example, love. You know, the love of a mother, the love of a woman, you know. You are influenced by other things apart from oppression. You know, because then if one should just focus on oppression and, you know, I mean, become obsessed with that, there are other things in life that that contribute to my being and to your being.
Thank you. Oku czuje związek z pisarzami, którzy byli wcześniej, tak jak Kamau Brathwaite, i z tym nowszym pokoleniem, tak jak ten Roger Robinson, którego klip słyszeliśmy. Też odczuwa taką dwoistość, że jest się pisarzem, który jest publikowany w formie papierowej, w formie drukowanej czy w formie elektronicznej, ale też jednocześnie ta druga jego osobowość istnieje, czyli performatywny, który na żywo wykonuje swoje utwory. Używa takiego określenia generation link, które jest zaprzeczeniem generation gap, czyli że nie ma tej różnicy pokoleniowej, nie ma tego rozziewu, tej dziury, tej przepaści, to jest połączenie, czyli znowu dążenie do jedności. I podobnie jest też w tematyce, bo z jednej strony się mówi, że poezja dubowa, czyli poezja kojarzona z Mutabaruką, Lintonem Kwesi Johnsonem, Yasusem Afarajem czy Jingbinto Breeze, to jest taka poezja o opresji, którą system nam narzuca, o nieszczęściu, o jakimś upodleniu. Natomiast poezja, przynajmniej ta w wykonaniu Oku Onuory, jest poezją, która jest doświadczeniem, to znaczy pokazuje szersze spektrum. Oczywiście w samym terminie poezja dubowa, która też w tym klipie się pojawiła, jest pewien szereg uproszczeń. Jakby nie ma chyba miejsca nawet na to, żeby o tym jakoś szeroko powiedzieć. Natomiast jedna rzecz jest ciekawa. Linton Kwesi Johnson, myślę znany pisarz i muzyk, on był określany od pierwszej płyty, od pierwszej książki jako poeta reggae, a nie dubowy. Czyli to już była zupełnie inna typologia, inny taki podział, który spowodował, że jest dużo ograniczeń, które my sobie narzucamy, używając tych określeń. Natomiast poezja jest, przynajmniej powinna być, takie jest zalecenie, że powinna być wszechstronna. Żeby robić coś takiego, że dodajemy tam elementy, na przykład muzyczne, dub in, pewne elementy odejmujemy, dub out i w ten sposób ona się rozwija. In other words, since you've mentioned that your poetry is not just about systemic oppression, I've found an emotionally moving poem in a very positive way, poem called Sunshine,
Yeah.
the one from the Calabash book, and I've got it here for you. And my question is, if you could perform it for us,
Okay.
Because that's not something that you do regularly. I mean, this particular poem. And also then I will do my best and read the Polish translation, right?
Okay. Let me say here that, you know, when I mention people like Muta Baruka and Linton Kwesi Johnson, who are described, or people who describe them as dub poets, it's not to take away anything from them, you know. But our approach, how I see poetry, I see poetry in a different light, because then poetry is really an art form that usually, or in the past, you know, was associated with academia, with you know, with high society,
High culture.
you know, yeah, you
They
know,
call it.
refined, you know,
Yeah,
poetry
refined.
was seen as refined, you know. So what I do with poetry, some people see it as being sacrilege. Sunshine. You can hear me? Yeah, because I'm kind of feel away. I mean, I'm not that good at, you know, I mean, yeah. Okay. The poem was written, I woke up one morning and I was feeling slightly depressed. You know, for personal reasons, I was feeling slightly depressed, and I took a walk. I live near the sea, you know, and you know, not white sands and all of that. You know, sometimes I go down to the beach and it's all styrofoam and all that stuff. But I went down there early one morning, just before sunrise. And so the sun was rising. And I was there contemplating, you know, thinking about my dilemma, you know, and I saw the sun rising. But then it was cloudy. And I couldn't see the sun. But I knew, you know, there were just like little rays breaking through the clouds. And I watched it. And eventually, it was like the sun, you know, just burnt away the clouds. And I'm like, wow, I found that very inspiring. It lifted my spirit. That scene in nature, that art, you know, because, I mean, the greatest artist, the greatest painter is nature. When you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know, we're always awed by a sunset and, you know, full moon, no matter how many times we have seen, you know, scenes like that. Woke up this morning, kissed the sun, told her good morning, there's work to be done. All right, so let me find this poem. All right. Woke up this morning, kissed the sun, told her good morning, there's work to be done. So shine, sunshine, shine in my life today, shine bright light, burn clouds away. Let me work in a positive way. Shine, sunshine, shine your light today. A very short poem. I like my stuff to be like short, like a spring, a tightly worn spring, you know, and when you, yeah. I can't deal with the epistle thing, long poems, man. I'm not that kind of person.
Z poezją tak często jest, że jest uosobiana przez kulturę wysoką, albo uosabia kulturę wysoką, prawda? Więc ma być trudna, ma być skomplikowana, ma nas jakoś tak zadziwiać swoją wytwornością. I wiele osób uważa, że to, co Oku Onuora pisze, to jest świętokradztwo. Natomiast jak usłyszeliśmy, krótki wiersz, który jest wynikiem zachwytu nad naturą, to jest wiersz epifaniczny. Taka tradycja modernistyczna i tak naprawdę bardzo skomplikowana rzecz, mimo że prosta. Would you like to hear it in Polish?
Yes.
But you know, I won't perform it, but you can, I'll just read it, you know. Słońce. Obudziłem się rano, ucałowałem słońce, powiedziałem dzień dobry, jest robota do zrobienia. Więc świeć słońce, oświeć dziś moje życie, świeć jasno. Niech znikną chmury, niech pracuje się pozytywnie. Świeć słońce, wskazuj drogę za dnia. So, this is also about the sunshine as your guiding light,
Light,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. But if you could, because we also have one of your classic, let's say, social poems, meaning, you know, representing the life of the inner city residents, right? Slum dweller declares, right? So of course it's a classic, it's a poem that you've recorded, a poem that you perform, but if you could give us an a cappella, right, performance, then that would be a rare opportunity.
We want for free from misery. We want to live like human beings. We don't want to live from dumb monks, dead dog and fly, and have your fight jumper from sky to get food for them. We want to live like any other man. You believe we come here willingly? You believe we want to pick them to go up in a place worse than Agpen? We want for free from misery. We want to live like human beings.
Thank you, sir. Well, I also have a Polish version, which is a kind of, you know, philological translation. I mean, czy ktoś chce usłyszeć, żeby mieć jasność, co było powiedziane? Okay, so I'll just give the context and I'll explain, you know, what John Crow is and some things in Polish, okay? So if you don't mind. Tam się pojawia zwierzę, to znaczy pojawia się, on jest w tradycjach afrykańskich, a jamańskich również bardzo istotny ptak, John Crow. Ogólnie to jest sępnik, czyli to jest drapieżny ptak. I pojawia się mucha plujka. To jest o tyle istotne, bo żeby nie było zaskoczenia. Deklaracja mieszkańca slumsu. Chcemy być wolni od nędzy. Chcemy żyć jak ludzie. Nie chcemy żyć na wysypisku pomiędzy padliną a plujkami i walczyć o każdy kęs z sępnikiem kołującym nam nad głową. Chcemy żyć jak zwykły człowiek. Myślisz, że przyszliśmy tu dobrowolnie? Myślisz, że chcemy, by dzieci dorastały w miejscu gorszym niż chlew? Chcemy żyć jak ludzie. So that's roughly speaking in Polish. But there is one more side to you that we have time today to discuss. Because you also worked as a playwright.
Yes.
Because there is a work of yours that I haven't heard, that I haven't read, but I read about and heard about. It's called Confrontation.
Confrontation, yeah.
It was a radio play created by you, starring you, that was done for the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation radio, like radio theatre. And this is very interesting because Jamaica has also a rich thespian or theatrical tradition. We've got Dennis Scott, we've got the Sistren Theatre, we've got a number of people that, again, are not often heard about outside of Jamaica. But this is also your contribution to the development of West Indian drama. So if you could, you know, talk about Confrontation, and also there is you were the one that before Bob Marley used Confrontation as a title. You were the first, right?
The title,
Original Confrontation.
Yeah.
Okazało się, że Oku Onuora też jest dramatopisarzem, to znaczy stworzył, współpracując z jamańskim radiem, dramat radiowy, takie słuchowisko właściwie, które nazywa się Confrontation, czyli konfrontacja. Zanim pojawiła się płyta Boba Marleya, Confrontation, więc tu mamy jeszcze taki przypis. To jest o tyle istotne, że my mało wiemy, mówię my w ogóle jako osoby mieszkające nie na Jamajce, mało wiemy o dramacie jamańskim, a to jest jamański i karaibski bardzo istotny element też tej kultury poezji dubowej, czy w ogóle występów, jak widzieliśmy przed chwilą. So if you could, you know, tell us briefly, you know, or if you want to take more time, of course, please be free to do so, about Confrontation. What is it about? Is it still possible to hear it? Are there any archives, you know?
Unfortunately, we can't find it. It can't be found. It was done by the JBC radio. In those days, people dub over process of dubbing. You know, they'd use tapes and then later on they'd dub over it, and not even the script of the play I'm able to find because it was unwritten. I'd written the poem while I was in prison. And the poem was actually recorded in prison. That was the first time that JBC Radio recorded a radio play outside of their studio. They recorded it in prison. And brothers in L, you know, people in L serving time, performed in the play along with people outside. Notable people like Faye Ellington. Faye Ellington, you know, is a journalist and you know, a great actress also. And the poem spoke about the conditions outside and what a young man was actually going through. At the end of the play, he was killed by the police. I wrote the poem and entered it into a playwriting competition that was taking place outside. You know, because at the time there wasn't any parole. There wasn't any parole in Jamaica. The penal system was that of the colonial, from the colonial era. You know, so you didn't have any parole, you didn't have any rehabilitation program as such. So this play was a way of showing people that, you know, people in prison are able to create, or, you know, can be creative, and you know, that they are talent. Because the cast, as I said, the cast was made up of people in prison, you know, inmates in prison, and people outside. It was produced, it was directed by Charles Hyatt, and Charles Hyatt is, you know, he has passed on, you know, many years ago. And Charles Hyatt was a known actor. He's a known actor in Jamaica, and a comedian, and a beautiful person. And when I wrote Confrontation, it was a deliberate effort. It wasn't as if I was just writing something. You know, I deliberately took on the task to write this play, to reflect, you know, that people in prison weren't just like, you know, outcasts. They weren't just angry people. They weren't just useless people, you know. And what better way to address that and to speak about that than through the art? Hence, you know, Confrontation.
But you've managed to, that's what I've read, you've managed to confront the system by contributing to the change.
To the change, yeah.
And the introduction of the parole as a tool, really.
Yes, because the minister, the Minister of Justice, who introduced the whole thing about penal reform, his name was Carl Rattray. And in Parliament, when he was presenting, you know, the tabling the document, you know, to bring about prison reforming, you know, reformation of, you know, the prison system, he mentioned my name and the work that I was doing. So from very early on, my work and what I did wasn't just, you know, words on paper about a play. It was making a statement. It was contributing to social changes. And this is what dub poetry is all about too. You know, to effect social changes. I must say that I do not believe that poetry can solve the problem of the world. It will take concrete political action. And some brethren or some brothers, you know, once you say politics and you're a Rastaman or, you know, I mean, them don't deal with politics. But in reality, to bring about meaningful changes in any society, you know, it will take concrete political action. You know, because when you say politics, it don't necessarily mean, you know, I mean, partisan politics. You don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean you're talking about socialism or capitalism, you know, it's a system of, you know, so making things, you know, run orderly. And not chaotically, you know, not chaos, so to speak, yeah.
So order over chaos. Yeah. Rzeczywiście ta sztuka, która nazywa się Konfrontacja, ona zaginęła. To znaczy nie ma manuskryptu, nie ma żadnego zapisu, bo na tych taśmach zostało coś innego nagrane. I ironicznie Oku użył określenia dub over, zadabowano, nagrano na tym materiale coś innego, czyli w archiwum nie ma. Natomiast było to pierwsze nagranie wykonane poza studiem radiowym, wykonane w więzieniu. Wykonanie trochę takiego też, wykonanie trochę amatorskie, to znaczy profesjonalna ekipa radiowa przyjechała do więzienia i w tym więzieniu nagrała amatorskich aktorów, to znaczy współwięźniów, którzy razem z Oku w tym dramacie wystąpili. Natomiast co jest ciekawe, ten tekst, czyli on istniał, ten tekst został też przez Oku zgłoszony do konkursu dramatopisarskiego. I ten tekst też trafił do kilku bardzo istotnych jamańskich osobistości, do aktorki, oraz był przyczynkiem do tego, żeby nastąpiła reforma tak naprawdę prawa więziennego. Chodzi o jeszcze z czasów wiktoriańskich, taki już wówczas, już w 70-tych latach zupełnie nieprzystający do rzeczywistości zapis, że nie ma wówczas nie było w jamańskim systemie czegoś takiego jak zwolnienie warunkowe. Nie było resocjalizacji, nie było systemu w ogóle, jak ludziom, którzy są w więzieniu, jak są osadzeni, pomóc, żeby później wyszli i mogli współegzystować. I ta sztuka jednocześnie miała taką właśnie formę w rezultacie trochę resocjalizacyjnej twórczości. Natomiast Oku został w parlamencie wymieniony i jego historia została użyta, żeby pomóc dokonać reformy systemu więziennictwa. Co oczywiście łączy się też w ogóle z wymiarem sztuki jako takiej, bo polityka to nie jest tylko polityka partyjna, to w ogóle nie jest partyjniactwo, to jest coś więcej, to są zmiany społeczne i tylko za pomocą zmian społecznych możemy oddziaływać i możemy po prostu wprowadzać sobie porządek, który ten chaos odsuwa. Natomiast sztuka pomaga, jest przyczynkiem, ale nie jest tym, co nam ten chaos odgania i wprowadza porządek i wprowadza po prostu ułatwienia społeczne. I to już jest praktyka polityczna. Thank you so much. I've been also thinking about one more short but important question before we give our audience a chance to talk to you. Because you've also referred quite rightly, quite shrewdly to Bob Marley as a poet,
Yes.
to Winston Rodney, Burning Spear, as a poet. And that's something that also many academics do, including, Kwame Dawes, right, who is one of the people involved in the Calabash Festival. Kwame Dawes refers to Bob Marley as a lyrical genius. Carolyn Cooper, who was here as our guest 2 years ago, also praised reggae lyricists as vital poets, right? So, and on your last but one, record on movement.
And the movement.
You've got Running Away.
Yes.
Your version
Of Running Away.
of Marley's track. So, what interests you, right, in the poetry of Bob Marley? Because quite often we, remember the refrains, choruses. We forget about stanzas. We quite often don't get deep enough into the context, into proverbs, into, puns and all the philosophical content, right? So if you could give us some guidelines, you know, what is so interesting, what is so captivating, what we should be looking for, right? Because not everyone will have a chance to read the, you know, book by Kwame Dawes and marvel at the, you know, lyrical genius of Bob Marley, but everyone can listen to a song and experience it in a different way.
Let me say, poetry is the seed. So like confrontation, it's a poem. A play is a poem. It's an extended poem. So I was still flowing in that poetic vein, you know, because the mother of you know, a play, where it comes from, it's a poem. I can take any of my poem, the shortest poem, and I can stage it. Like Sunshine, I could stage Sunshine. You know, get a cast and stage Sunshine. So the poem is the seed from which you know all of this come. You know, yeah. A poet delivers his work in different ways. If you have a voice, a singing voice, then you sing your poem. I can't sing, so I recite my poems. For me, Bob Marley is one of Jamaica's great poets. Bob also echoes the people's voice. He speaks of the social conditions. He speaks out against injustice. And it's not colloquial, it's not just local, it's not just about Jamaica. You know, and the use of words. Words are magical, words are symbols. And Bob has the ability to put words together, to conjure, to raise, you know, spirits. It's like a potion, you know, like yes, like you know, like brewing a potion. And his ability to use the people's language, the language of the Jamaican people, to express the feelings of the people in a authentic way. Because he uses like Jamaican phrases, for example. He uses the language of the people, while some poets, you know, use highfalutin, high-sounding language, you know, to impress. And his simplicity is beautiful. You know, there is no way that you are not stirred by the poetry or the lyrics of Bob Marley. And this is where I've learned that simplicity is not just simple. It's difficult to write a simple poem because you want to impress. So you want to use, you know, like big words, yeah, like, you know,
Latinate words, you know,
yes.
Latin or Greek, you know.
You know, Bob listened to the people. He heard the people, you know, he listened to the people. He didn't try to place himself above the people. He spoke as one of them. Because unfortunately, when people get the opportunity or the privilege to be a voice, to represent, they suddenly become, you know, a kind of authority.
And inflated quite often.
Yes,
Yeah,
you know. And, you know, the simplicity of Bob's work and the subject matter, you know, just as I was saying early on, Bob didn't just address the whole issue of oppression. He spoke about love. He spoke about, you know, three little birds.
Misty morning.
Yes, you know, so he was able, Bob was able to capture the feelings of the people. Bob was able to sense the desire. Bob was able to transmit the hunger, the feeling of hunger. He was able to transmit anger, the anger of the people. He was able to also see beyond the immediate frustration.
So, being a kind of, you know, guiding light.
Guiding light.
So I'm, of course, referring to your Sunshine, which is also as simple in terms of the language used, but complex in terms of ideas expressed. No i zatoczyliśmy takie koło, bo tak naprawdę wróciliśmy do prostoty poezji, którą Oku Onuora bardzo, bardzo ceni. Prostoty, która jednocześnie ma w sobie głębię. Wiersz jest rodzajem takiego nasiona, takiego zaczynu, z którego czy to śpiewając, Oku nie śpiewa, bo nie umie śpiewać, ale śpiewacy reggae robią to wspaniale, czy recytując wiersz jako takie nasiono, jako taki zaczyn, możemy dowiedzieć się o stosunkach społecznych, o niesprawiedliwości, o tym, co jest istotne, albo istotą danej społeczności. Natomiast jednocześnie w przypadku Boba Marleya nie były to rzeczy lokalne, ale bardzo uniwersalne. Rzeczy, które do dzisiaj, chociażby tutaj możemy o nich rozmawiać i one, myślę, są nam bliskie, ale jednocześnie było to, co wielu karaibskich twórców robi, było to wyrażane za pomocą lokalnego języka, lokalnych gier słownych, użycia kontekstu, użycia wielu rzeczy, które rzeczywiście wymagają też wprawy, obeznania, no i takiej nauki. Natomiast nawet wiersz, który nie jest pisany jako, inaczej, nawet tekst, który nie jest tekst, który nie jest pisany jako dramat, jako słuchowisko, można wystawić na scenie, można go udramatyzować, można go, co też się udawało i Oku, i Marleyowi. Chodzi o to, że tak umiał Bob Marley złożyć ze sobą, zestawić ze sobą słowa, żeby one stawały się na tyle twórcze, że mogły niemalże duchy wskrzeszać. Mogły nową jakość w tym prostym języku tworzyć. Oku też użył takiego porównania, że to jest potion, taki eliksir, takie remedium, coś, co nam zmienia nie tylko troski życia, ale myślę, że też jest życiodajne po prostu. Jest po prostu życiodajne. Thank you so much for being here, for your wise words and also your performances. Of course, we all are anticipating your performance with the live band tonight. Your latest record is as impressive as your other records, but what I love is, again, the simplicity of music and your minimalist approach to language, which is so difficult in translation, believe me. But I do hope that there will be questions from the audience, because I know that there are your readers and your listeners here among the people. So before that, if you could give one big round of applause to Oku Onuora as, you know, giving thanks.
must also applaud you for sitting here and struggling to understand what I was trying to say. I sincerely hope you gathered something, you know, or got a sense of what I was saying. You know, I hope I succeeded even just a little to communicate with you guys.
Jest mikrofon, oczywiście.
Okay, Oku, Reflections in Red. This poem was performed at the famous,
One Love
momentous
Peace
One
concert,
Love Peace
yes.
concert. How did that come about? And what are your memories of that momentous event? Because this is legendary.
Okay, all right. I wrote the poem "Reflection in Red." That was my first recorded piece of work, "Reflection in Red." And so there was a time in Jamaica, and we still have that with the political division. You have the JLP and the PNP party in Jamaica, and you know, they polarize, you know, the people. I mean, this is what the politicians use to control the people, you know, to stir them, to divide and rule. It's a simple tactic, it's an age-old tactic to divide and rule people. So at a time when the political violence, you know, was at heights, there was a call for peace, a peace truce. And so you had brothers from both sides of the fence, JLP, PNP, you know, came together and declared a peace truce, and they had a concert to celebrate this reality, you know, so, well, you know, peace truce. But then in reality, when I looked at it, you can't really have any peace. There can be no peace until there's equal rights and justice. You know, you can't really have real, meaningful social changes until you have, you know, social programs, you know, that will empower the youth, that will enable you to get a skill, to find gainful employment. So for me, this peace truce wasn't really a reality. And I wrote the poem, you know, Reflection in Red. I actually performed the poem at the peace concert. And I was confronted by some of the brothers who organized it. How dare you, how could you read such a poem like this? You know, I mean, like fighting against what we are doing. But it was a reality. Because they were talking about, you know, I mean, like, you know, having a peace, having, you know, I mean, like a peace truce, you know, to end all of what was going on. But that wasn't a reality. You know, and hence I wrote the poem, Reflection in Red. And the poem simply, you know, it's like, can I recite the poem? And the beat well red and the scene well dread and the man them a loot and shoot, Lord. And the fire a burn and the blood a run, and some people just don't know where it turn. And the politicians are preach and the preachers are pray, but things are get worse day after day. And then from the east and the west and the north and the south a shout peace. And the man them from Rima and jungle a bungle a dance and a prance to some heavy reggae rhythm. And the beat well red and the scene well dread and the man them a loot and shoot. And for a long, long time, the man Peter Whaler in the wilderness wailing. There can be no peace until there's equal rights and justice. And a little dirty bag of bone, a bubble to some heavy, hypnotic survival rhythm. And the mother, with her hand on her jaw, I sing a sad, sad song, a redemption. And then brother from the crack of dawn, a dance with death through the bloody black asphalt streets of the city without any pity. And the people them a wail, free Michael Bernard, down with capitalism. It's written on the wall, Babylon kingdom must fall, not a dread ball. There can be no peace until there's equal rights and justice, Because how can you have peace when, you know, the little dirty bag of bone, the child, you know, malnourished, you know, a dance, a survival, you know what I mean? Like, you know, how can you have peace when, you know, the youths, you know, out there, you know, the bloody black asphalt streets of the city without any pity? How can you have peace in such an environment? And, you know, Reflection in Red address that. Not that I don't want the peace, I'd welcome it. You know, I'm so, even today what is taking place in Jamaica, I am hurt. I for over some 15, 16 years I didn't perform. I didn't do any interviews because I didn't like what was happening in the music. And in recent years, you know, I'm saying to myself, you've got some things to say. Because there are youths at risk. You guys must get the news of what is taking place in Jamaica. You know, the bloodshed, the bloodletting, you know, the senseless murders that are taking place there. And henceforth I, you know, came out of my little corner to see if I'm able to touch some souls. Because I'm not here to save a multitude, you know. I am not here to save a multitude. My thing is, if I'm able to touch one soul, and that one soul in turn touches another soul, and so, you know, it creates a domino effect. So it's not like I'm here to you know, to gather a multitude and to change them or anything like that. You know, I just want to touch one soul. You know, and, you know, that one soul would go on and touch another soul, and yeah. I'm getting off. You know.
It's fine, it's brilliant, it's context, it's what we need. Oku wykona utwór Reflection in Red, który jest tak naprawdę pokłosiem, i o to chodziło w pytaniu, pokłosiem koncertu. One Love Peace Concert. Koncert, który był koncert był po to, żeby zjednoczyć dwie od lat zwaśnione ze sobą partie. Partię lewicową, która ma w nazwie przymiotnik narodowy, i partię prawicową, która ma w nazwie laburzystów. Czyli partię pracy, która jest prawicową, i partię lewicową, która jest narodową. To też jakby jest spuścizna kolonialna. Oku z tym wierszem wystąpił na koncercie. On jest pokłosiem w ten sposób, że nadal jest istotny, nadal się sytuacja nie zmieniła. Już wówczas w 1978 roku, gdy zacytował Petera Tosza w tym wierszu, Petera Tosza, który domaga się sprawiedliwości społecznej, równych praw, bo bez tego nie będzie pokoju. Bez tego będą nadal dwie zwaśnione strony, bo bez tego nadal będą interesy partyjne, interesy, które nie będą brały pod uwagę społeczności, czyli dostęp do edukacji, dostęp do kanalizacji, dostęp do prądu, wiecie, podstawowe, prawda, elementy życia społecznego w postaci infrastruktury. Nie mówiąc już o skomplikowanym i równym systemie prawnym. I już wykonując ten utwór spotkał się z ogromną krytyką swoich rzekomych braci, swoich rzekomych zwolenników, ludzi, którzy też pochodzili z tej samej klasy społecznej. Bo nie był zbytnim optymistą, w znaczeniu naiwnym optymistą. I sytuacja się za bardzo nie zmieniła, bo przecież te informacje, które my z Jamajki otrzymujemy, to są głównie informacje, negatywne informacje o zabójstwach, o stanie wyjątkowym, o przestępstwach, o sytuacji korupcyjnej. I z tego też powodu przez ostatnie 15-16 lat Oku na wyspie nie występował, nie udzielał wywiadów, nie za bardzo się angażował w życie kulturalne. bo nie podobał mu się kierunek, w którym po prostu Jamajka zmierzała, ale ostatnio doszedł do wniosku, że musi to zmienić. Stąd też te 2 ostatnie płyty, stąd też ta trasa, stąd też ten nowy materiał, który przez te lata w nim dorastał. Także Reflection in Red. Tam się pojawia taka postać takiego małego, umorusanego dzieciaka, który jest opisany jako worek kości, prawda? Bag of bone. Dopóki takie dziecko nie będzie miało dostępu do właśnie podstawowych środków, które umożliwią rozwój, edukację, zdrowie i tak dalej, nie będzie pokoju, nie będzie przyszłości dla również Jamajki. Czy są jakieś inne...
Może po polsku przetłumaczysz, Bartku.
Jak wolisz.
W muzyce reggae, w kulturze reggae bardzo ważny, istotny jest nurt DJ-ski, sztuka toastingu, gdzie też jest właśnie bardzo ważna sztuka operowania słowem. Czy ci pierwsi mistrzowie toastingu, tacy jak Euro i Biki of Iroy, mieli wpływ na Oku, na jego sceniczne występy?
Toasting, performances by, DJ and, reggae lyricists, such as, Euro, Iroy.
And you were,
Yeah. Toasting is very much important as far as reggae is concerned, and the question is whether you've been informed, whether you've been influenced by their early, endeavors, late 60s, early 70s,
No. No. As I said before, people like Bob Marley, Burning Spear, Peter Tosh, with Reflection in Red, and the man Peter Whaler, because Peter Tosh always talk about, no peace until, there's equal rights and justice. No, the toasters, it's funny, I talk, so one would believe that I'd be more influenced by toasters, no.
Nie, jak usłyszeliśmy, chociaż oczywiście mogłoby się to wydawać, bo przecież nawijam, bo przecież mówię, a nie śpiewam, bo przecież to są recytacje, melorecytacje, a nie wielka skala głosu i wielkie śpiewy. Natomiast tak jak wspominałem, Peter Whaler, czyli Peter Tosh, i wszyscy wymieniani, Bob Marley czy Burning Spear, czy inni też, myślę, regowi tekściarze i regowi wokaliści, bardziej wokaliści niż nawijacze. If there are no more questions, then again, a warm thank you. Give thanks. Looking forward to your show tonight. And I know that there are some people around that would like to ask you a question or two, but are either too shy. So if I could guide you to them in a moment, they won't take much of your time. Okay. And there is also a reggae-oriented professional team of journalists very eager to ask you a number of questions. Okay. But we can do it, after the event. Okay. So once again, thank you.